We will convene the special commission meeting for May 5th, 2025. Time is approximately 7:45 p.m. And the first item of business is approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion from Commissioner Mazon, a second from Commissioner Farnsworth. Any discussion on the approval of the agenda? Seeing none. Any from the public? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Unanimous. The approval of the agenda passes. Please rise if you can for a invocation by Citizen Naeem Urched and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, if we could just bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gifts of this day, for the blessings you have bestowed upon our city, and for the opportunity to gather here in service to our community. We come before you as stewards, entrusted with the responsibility to lead with wisdom, fairness, and compassion. May the Holy Spirit guide our thoughts and actions that we may approach the task before us with open minds, respectful hearts, and a spirit of collaboration. May our decisions be rooted not in personal interests, but in common good, with a deep commitment to justice, dignity of every person made in your image. We are grateful for those who serve and those we serve. Grant us the strength to listen carefully, the courage to speak truthfully, and the humility to serve faithfully. May this meeting be productive, thoughtful, and focused on building a brighter future for our city under your divine guidance. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Clark.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Naeem. Appreciate that. This time we'll call forward any public announcements, 2 minutes to mention yard sales, anything like that. All right, seeing none from the public, let's move on to the agenda items. We just have the one item, which is what we were called here for, and that's the city clerk succession planning. Madam Clerk, we have a few things in front of us here, and you're, I assume, walking us through this?
Mr. Mayor, real quick.
Commissioner Clark?
Paperwork here.
Yes.
It should be spread out. Or does this is a stack. Does everybody have this?
I believe
This must just be left over.
I believe we got it all.
Okay.
I've got, well, I have a total of 4 items here. I think the rest of you have 3.
There's a budget and a city clerk classification. Y'all have all that?
I do not have the budget proposal. If you want to pass a copy of
I'll
that.
pass down. And
I don't have that.
That's what I was saying. And job. Okay.
Correction, it was underneath this. I have one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Y'all don't have it?
Appreciate it.
Everybody got it?
I guess we all got it. So we have a PowerPoint, we have a membership application, we have a budget, and we have the general description stapled. Is that all we should have, Madam Clerk?
Yes, it is.
Okay, fantastic. Are we starting with the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, Judy.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Martin and City Commissioners. Okay, we'll start the. We are here tonight to discuss the city clerk's succession plan. As you all know, that I will be leaving. I will be retiring in September, and this has been a collaborative effort with the Human Resource Department, former Mayor Marlowe. He was with us when we initially started this, and the City Clerk's office. So what we're going to do tonight is I am asking for clarification and direction on how to proceed with this process.
Okay.
The primary current functions of the city clerk is the city commission meetings, clerk for the city commission meetings, clerk for the Board of Adjustment meetings, and custodian of municipal records, administrator of public records requests, and supervisor of municipal elections. I have provided a job description. And at this time, I would ask if you were able to review it, if there are any functions that you would like to add to the description or remove.
Judy, I have a question. So, I'm sorry, let me get that on. This is kind of vague. I know we've all been around here. We see what you do and what everybody does in positions. And I know it's quite a bit that is done inside that office that a lot of people don't see. But what is this various on the other secondary functions on the backup material? What am I looking for? What, can anyone?
Are you looking at the job description?
The primary current functions?
On that third slide at the bottom where it says various other secondary functions, I think Commissioner Clark is just asking what are some of those secondary
Yeah.
Secondary.
Ms.
Okay.
Judy, it's listed in your backup material as job functions. So it's job description, and you'll see it's a page and a half. It's not in the PowerPoint. It was in the backup
It's-
material
it's
emailed
in-
out.
This.
Okay. Okay.
And I'll get you a page number.
under here.
Yeah, I don't have it.
You don't have this? Okay.
It's page 2 of 4, non-essential job functions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I am waiting for comment from the commission.
Oh, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So I think what the clerk is asking for here is the last two slides are the 20,000 level foot. These are the primary functions. There have been suggestions about things that the clerk could also do. I think that it's fair for you guys, when you're filling out the job description, to say we're hiring somebody to do these other things. I think it's unfair to hire somebody and then put additional tasks on them, right? So the planning and zoning, the HARB, our clerk has never been the clerk for those two. The CRA is essentially the same board as the commission, right? You guys bang the gavel on the commission meeting, you bang the gavel on the BOA meeting, you bang the gavel on that, you bang the gavel on the CRA. But that's not in our job description right now because we didn't have a CRA. So what I think Ms. Judy is asking for y'all to think about right now is if there's additional tasks that you want the clerk to do, now's the time to put it in the job description. So when you're advertising, everybody is fair and up board with what's being asked to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think she needs a head nod on these
Mr. Mayor,
things.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
the closer that I see that the city clerk gets to election time, and we're probably talking 4 months out, and with all that's involved in our local elections and the
Public request.
public request thank you. I am totally against adding anything to that position. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we can see on page 1, there's the essential functions. Moving over to page 2, there's the non-essential job functions. Those are obviously things that are going to come and go. Elections, you're right. I mean, they have a whole other level. So I guess the question or the pending question here is, are you fairly happy with what is described in the general description on these 4 pages? Or are there other things that you want to consider as well? And I mean, if you wanted it, we could go through, kind of skim through them.
Mr. Mayor, I would like for Miss Judy to let me know, because I don't know. I know that they're very busy all the time, to be honest with you. So I want to know what has been added in here. I want Miss Judy to explain to us if anything else.
Ms. Judy, you primarily did this document, right, the general description?
Correct.
Okay, so this is mostly from from her.
So nothing's been added to?
No, it has not.
So
Okay.
you're looking for the potential functions to be added or subtracted to the process, right?
The potential functions are not in the description that you have.
Okay.
This is something that
Okay.
our former mayor was interested in hearing what you had to say about it. And we're also interested in if you have some
It's not
other
on either.
functions that you would like added, please, let's talk about, let's discuss it.
Commissioner Mazon and then Commissioner Farnsworth.
Yeah, so who performed these functions now? Was it you or who was it that, no one performed these?
No, they did.
Stand by letter.
The
Who
potential,
performed these potential others?
Yes.
The
Yes.
potential others.
The hard, who got
Those-
ready?
the planning and zoning admin assistant has always performed the planning and zoning and HARB.
So you're potentially adding a whole nother set of meetings to the clerk position if you wanted the clerk to do this part. But they're currently already covered by the planning and zoning assistants. Am I saying that correctly?
Correct.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
Yeah, that's basically the same question I have. So is there any need for a clerk to do these other positions? Or is that just something you just kind of threw out there just for?
These were all things that I've heard in various conversations. We've always had, so if you think about the planning department, it sort of mirrors the commission department, right? We've got Stacy as the planning manager, right? And then you have Missy, right? On our side, you guys have me and you have Miranda, right? So the planning and the HARB would be new. Right now, I'm not sure exactly how we fit in the CRA because the CRA is not in our current clerk's position. It's also not budgeted in the planning and zoning. It's a manager's function. So we don't, right now, I think we hodgepodge that together because we have very limited people who are qualified to take minutes, run the equipment back here. So we really need that collegial atmosphere between the clerk's department, the planning department, the manager's department, so that if someone's out on vacation, someone's sick, those kinds of things, there's someone else who can come in. So right now, planning and zoning and HARB are covered. It's just time for you guys to say yay or nay. CRA is not covered, so you have to make a decision who is clerking Community Redevelopment Agency, right? But it's the Community Redevelopment Agency is the commission by ordinance. So you guys bang a gavel on one. You guys sit as three boards. You're the commission, you're the Board of Adjustment, and you're the Community Redevelopment Agency. But they're technically three separate boards. Right now, two of those boards have a clerk, one does not.
Yeah.
So I would rather add the CRA to it and not the hard for the planning zone since it's already covered.
Okay, what would your initial thought be as of right now then? To add the CRA into this description?
Leave the others, leave the planning and zoning and the HARB as.
Yeah, I'm okay with that in CRA. I mean, can this function, any of these functions be done by the assistant city clerk? Or they all fall on the city clerk?
Yes, the assistant to the city clerk,
Yeah, they do
we
know.
both, yeah, she assists and she sits in whenever I'm out.
A lot of these get scheduled on the same meeting night
Mr. Mayor.
also.
True.
So where are you on that, just that as a head nod?
I got a question, and then I can tell you. So the CRA is the same night that we have our regular commission meeting, so there's,
Generally.
right.
Generally, yeah.
Is there any other ones?
I don't think we've ever had a standalone CRA.
Not that I know of. Okay, yeah, so I'm with the other guys there.
Okay. Commissioner Clark? We already have four, but
Yeah, I don't want to add anything new,
Right.
as long, if it is sitting here. I just wonder if sometimes we're not going to get out of hand with, when you add something, now she's going to have to go to Red Schoolhouse because someone's going to think that the clerk's a part of their team, and the clerk is a charter officer. She don't get told what to do by no one, just like the attorney, the city manager is our manager, the clerk is our charter officer, and this board it's all part of the charter. So I want everyone to work together, but I don't want to add anything personally that I don't know more about.
okay.
So if that was here and the clerk was here, then yes. But if that happened to go on another night and the clerk was out, and I think my other question is, with two retiring, and I've heard it, or is we're gonna keep this position, both of these right here? I've heard a little bit
Well-
either way, so I think the position needs to be clarified. If the city clerk and is there assistant city clerk, which I know Judy fought for years to get one.
Well, let's do it this
So
way.
that's, I believe that's,
Yeah.
it's a deal breaker in this process.
I agree.
Okay.
So let's do it this way. If we're defining what the role is,
Okay,
that helps us define what the workload is.
sure.
So, I mean, you've got a balance of the commission that's okay adding the clerk for the CRA part to this description, so as to clarify
Correct.
what we're advertising for the position. That being said,
As long as it's here, not CRA decides they're gonna meet at the Little Red Schoolhouse. If it's that every other Monday night and the clerk's already here, I'm fine with it. But if they decide they're gonna meet up on a Wednesday or
I
Thursday,
got you.
that's it. So I
Yeah.
think that's a no-brainer.
Understood.
Mr. Chair, I would say two things. One, within 6 months from here, everyone's going to be here. Little Red Schoolhouse will be over here too. And two, y'all are the board. Y'all are the same board.
Yeah.
So if you guys decide you need to call a CRA meeting that's a standalone meeting and the clerk is on vacation, you will certainly turn to your manager and say, who's filling in, right? Because we are going to work collegially, right? So the CRA is a new function for the city. That's why it's a new topic of conversation for the board.
And we can certainly take away. It's a little harder to add necessarily. Fair? Okay. Well, let's come back to what you're talking about and finish your backup part, or your power plant,
Continue.
PowerPoint, excuse me.
So
Plant.
you want me to continue?
Yes.
Okay.
If You're happy with that answer, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, this is some qualifications, these are software apps that we work in on a daily basis. And we will be expecting whoever comes in to be able to learn it if they haven't worked with it and, or with these apps. Just wanted you to see that
Okay.
we do work in quite a few apps.
Okay.
Okay, now we're going to discuss qualifications. And this is going to help us with, the applications. How do you feel about an associate science degree in business or public administration? Do you think that is going to be a mandatory qualification, or can it be substituted by years of experience? How do you feel about that?
Commissioner Clark?
This has always been I've been in state government, I've been in federal government. I've missed out on some good jobs with more experience based on people that come out of high school that can't do, or college, they can't spell college. So don't think for a minute just because everyone's got a degree that they're the best of the best, because absolutely I disagree with that. Experience to me, in certain things you must have a degree. I understand that. But in this position, I've looked back on these, I've talked to you, Miss Judy, I've looked back on the clerks of other cities. There is by no means, when they are founded, where their degrees having to have, and this is all just part of the factors. But I personally would love higher education if the person has it. But I think more than anything, it's knowing how to deal with people in the public in your position more than the education from a college that was taught something crazy. And number two, the qualifications that you need to run your daily aspect is right here. If the person can run these right here, then I don't see any reason why you have to have a college education. Now, is it good? Absolutely, it's good. That means you can be taught and you learn. But I think in this day and age, experience, the job, and get the certifications that you have and that you ask of our new person to get. I know it's time, right? It's you got to do a little bit every year to be able to get these certificates. So I ask that whoever we hire is mandatory that they get the public records, the clerk certificate that you've so many times have said you got, and any other certificates that may need to cover our city. Because that's where I stand with the degree part.
But I second what he says, because experience is everything. It's the pace you get knowledge about doing the job makes more sense than having degrees and trying to figure everything else on the fly. Having the experience, having the certifications gives you the upper echelon of knowledge to do so. So I second that.
I'm with him.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
Yeah, I'm with him also. Regarding the certified municipal clerk, how
Ms. Judy,
long,
why don't you go through and put the rest up on the screen?
how long does it take to
Next one also.
obtain that certification?
Minimal 2 years, usually 3 years or more.
Did you pay for that yourself, or is that paid for by the city?
I did pay some. I did pay the first year myself.
How many years of experience did you have before you got this position? Were you as an assistant city clerk, or what was your,
I was appointed, I was appointed deputy city clerk in 1997. The first training for certified municipal clerk I was able to attend was in 2006, and I graduated in 2008, and early 2009 I received my CMC because I had experience points through since 1997.
So you had some experience, working as a clerk before you took the
Correct.
position. Okay.
It would be ideal if the clerk starts that training as soon as possible.
Right.
And they have in October a school. It's 4.5 days of classes. It's knowledge that you will use over and over again.
If it takes 2 years to get that certification, does that not take away from your actual working time?
To get the training,
Yeah. Or the certification, yeah. You said it takes 2 years?
And it's an annual week. It
right?
ain't a daily. It's an annual
okay.
week.
It's not like
So
going to
explain to
college.
school, Miss Judy.
Well, the conference is 5 days long,
Uh-huh.
and it's classes all day long. You have areas of public speaking, resolving employee issues with minute taking.
So somebody can get certified as municipal clerk by going to a 1 week.
There's 3 years. There's 3 years of school, 3 years of 3 weeks, and during the year, you do things you continue to work toward the points. Like, as an example.
Like continuing ed?
Yes, and you have to have a certificate for everything so that whenever you apply for that certification, you have to have a certificate for everything you have listed on that point schedule. And it goes to the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. It's an international organization, and they determine whether you have met your criteria.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is how long is it going to take time away from your actual job duties to get the certification?
Ms. Rice, one moment while Jamie jumps in.
One thing I might can relate to Judy's situation is, say, a water or wastewater plant operator, you have to take a course. but you basically, before you can sit for the test to get your certification, you've got to demonstrate 2,080 hours of experience. So to Commissioner Farnsworth's point, while you're actually doing the work, that's part
That's
of
part of
getting there.
Okay.
Part of the certification. Oh, JT.
Okay, so it's not, okay, I spend a week every 3 months doing the class.
No, sir. In the example I'm using, like I said, they basically have to take a self-paced correspondence course, but they have to take that and couple it with 2,080 hours actual on-the-job experience. Then they take those two and they can sit for the certification exam.
Is that how it works for you also?
Yes, very similar.
So, any other thoughts? I'm in my head, I'm having the thought bubble of maybe it's not something that somebody has coming in because we're gonna have to pay more for that, but we can certainly probably fashion some sort of restriction that says, day one, you're signing up for XYZ courses and you're starting then, because they can't get it necessarily day one, obviously, they can't, unless we hire somebody external and they already have all that, but we can certainly initiate their
Mr. Mayor,
progress towards it.
to that point, and that's something typical we do all the way across the organization, we'll set milestones with somebody that comes in that for this position, if you don't have A, B, C, D, or E, by, this period you gotta hit A, by this period you gotta hit B, and so on and so forth. That's not unique to the clerk's position, but that's something we do in all positions.
So now I have a question, Judy. I mean, you had a conversation. So say somebody outside. Would they have to come in and go through the same, say they're certified? Is that even possible, first of all? And if they are certified, would they have to go through a different training for this city? If that makes sense.
No, we're all
I mean,
under.
because he said the hours.
It's an international.
He said the hours you work as you go, but if you're certified already and you already have the hours.
Mr. Mayor, to speak to that, while you go get a water plant license and you base your experience on this system, a lot of it translates place to place. Naturally, there's unique nuances that you have to learn for that particular organization when you get there, but that doesn't mean you start the process over and move back down to basically entry level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the point of one of the pros of going to these trainings or these conferences, you're always learning what the legislature is planning, planning to discuss and what the results are. And another topic was elections, ethics, always ethics, disclosure. And each year, when you go back, the second year is more advanced. And then third year is more advanced. And that's when you graduate the third year. But however, if you come here, you've already been through that, but you still, to keep that, I won't say not to keep it, but that's why you attend the conferences, so that you continue to get the updated information. Because technology has completely changed since 2008. So this is where we have vendors come. I know Florida League of Cities, we have some of the same vendors.
Yeah.
The vendors come, they show you what their software can, how their software can help you be more efficient. So.
I got a question.
1 second. Go ahead.
All I want to say is I believe the next slide will help you guys focus on this too, because to Commissioner Mazon's point, you can absolutely hire somebody who's a master municipal clerk, right? Already qualified. That's going to come at a different price point than if you're willing to work with someone and train. So I think if you go to the next slide, it'll cut through a lot of the backlog and get down to the nuts and bolts. But
Just put all three up.
Okay.
Commissioner Coleman.
How long does it take to get the MMC? Is that a while?
That's a while.
Because that seems like it was like
That's the
5,
highest.
7 years or something.
That's
like
the
that.
highest you can go. The most, it's 6 years, counting the CMC. Others, it's 10. You see where someone's been a city clerk for 15 years and they are receiving their master municipal clerk. It took me 2008. It was during COVID whenever I received the master municipal, so 2020, something of that nature, because you have to work state and above, or above local county. You have to state or federal. So that took me, I think, 5 years of attending I was on a committee with the Florida League of Cities legislation committee, and to get all the points I needed for that level, and then I had some other points from Homeland Security and FEMA.
Well, is it normal, is it the norm that you're a city clerk and people aren't going to school to be a city clerk, or to get these qualifications here? They're not going to school and then, hey, now I can be a city clerk.
You can't. It doesn't.
They get hired as a city clerk and then they're sent off for the training, or they go to get the CMC and the MMC.
That is correct. If you look at the application, there is a box. It is called membership application, and I provided this so that there is a box on the lower part of the paper, and it says membership definitions, and it clarifies what position you have to be working in to even begin to get your points. And it also clarifies your duties. You have to have 4 of the 8 major duties. And proof of,
Set on population too.
Yeah. So to try to hone this in or steer this into something manageable that we can actually publish, we've talked a little bit about not needing a degree. That will certainly translate to an entry-level salary in that first pay band, so to speak. Not needed, but will be appreciated, salary-wise as we go higher. Do any of you have an opinion with regards to years of just government experience that we want to define in this? 0?
I think 5 is adequate.
5 is adequate?
Go ahead.
I would just say that, like, when we start this process, Miss Judy, number one, understands who we're hiring and
Sure.
got to fill her job.
Sure.
So that's one thing. And I think anybody that we're going to hire has got 3 to 5 years of administrative, government, and there again, if you go back to this chart,
Yeah.
I don't know who knows this stuff, because I've been around a long time and I ain't seen most of this here. So if the city clerk's using this stuff, you're pretty well educated in something in the computer world.
Understood.
So, I mean,
Okay.
3 to 5 years, 5 years experience administrative, I think
So in
5 years is good.
So our first pay band, is it safe to say no college degree, preferred 3 to 5 years of experience of some kind in a governmental organization? That's
where I'm cutting.
That's our first one?
If I'm at the bank,
Yeah.
and I was at the bank for 20 years,
Right,
if I had a government employee come up to me,
Yeah.
I need a job,
right,
and here I got somebody that's got administrative 10 years or 5, whatever,
Uh-huh.
I'm hiring him. I ain't hiring somebody that's been in the government, and I work for the government.
okay.
Do you see the point I'm making?
Yeah,
I mean, I can't get no better than that.
fine.
So I'd say administrative.
Administrative skills.
It ain't gotta be government.
Administrative,
that one.
okay. So
5
No
years.
degree, 3 to 5, a minimum 3 of some kind of administrative experience.
And you're talking for the first one, Mr.
For the
Mayor?
first one, yes.
Okay.
So building off of that,
5.
if we go to 2, do we want some sort of a degree and years of experience? Do we want to put in CMC there at that place to reserve the third pay band with the MMC?
That would make
I
sense.
could agree.
So just sort of gradually bump these up?
Yeah.
Okay. So the pay band in number 2 is, what do we want, bachelor's,
Mr. Chair.
associates?
I just to interrupt, all I think y'all need to do is just set the minimum.
Sure.
Just
Yeah,
set it, because if.
yeah, we got
let's say
no
if
and then
you
3
say
on the first
It's
band.
partially, right? So
Yep.
if I say, look, I've got
Yep.
3 years, but I don't have anything else.
Yep,
So you don't have to go through just what is the very bare minimum
Yep.
that somebody needs.
got it.
And give the discretion to the,
So
to us, yeah, actually on this one, to us.
on the second one then, so we're at a minimum of 5 years experience. You threw that out. How do we feel about that? Fine. Degree qualification there somewhere?
AS or above?
AS or above, okay. Pay band 3 and the CMC?
Hang on one second.
Well, you're setting different ones here.
No. You're just setting the minimum. All we need from you tonight is just set the minimum. So,
High school.
right.
Oh,
If they
well, what he's
exceed-
doing, he's setting 3 tiers here.
Right, but that's just set the minimum. So if you say the minimum is 5, right?
Okay, so
And then
you're going,
someone says,
this
well,
sets
they've
a
only got
standard
4.
period across the
Well,
board.
you can say, well, you partially met, right?
Okay.
But if you put in an AS degree, then that becomes,
I think it's already specified
Right.
here in this. When it
Well,
says,
what
just
I'm
leave it at the
asking,
minimum.
like, you see what I'm saying? The mayor's asking on the second one, 3 to 5 years AS degree. You're doing more money than down here. He's going
And I-
MMC. So that's what we need to
I
clarify.
think we don't need to do, we
Do
just need
that.
to set a minimum, and then if an applicant
Got it.
partially meets that, they'll fall, if they exceed that. If you say the minimum is a high school degree and,
Yep.
3
Leave it at that,
years.
Tim, or Mayor.
right, then you're good to go. If you say the minimum is a
what we're-
CMC.
You guys
and
are the
someone
boss,
comes
so
with
I-
a master's.
well, it specifies it here, right here, what exceeds and the minimum, so we might as well go with what it says here if they have more experience.
Where's it say?
What my question is, where do these numbers for the salary come from?
And Jamie was trying to get in on that last one, and I can answer the Commissioner Farnsworth's question.
Just to follow the city's normal process regardless of what the position is. We normally set the minimum as Manager Marlowe said, but we also have in our personnel policies that if someone comes in above the minimum in experience, then the person doing the hiring, the hiring manager or director, in this case, the commission, has the ability to say, while this person, the position starts at X, due to the fact this person has twice X, we bring them at the midpoint or above midpoint. We do that typically based on, a range of qualifications.
So,
And the only thing that's different from our normal is that we are encompassing that somebody may only partially meet the minimum, and you guys still want to have them in the mix, recognizing the potential budget savings.
Mr. Mayor, then let me redact something and start back over.
Okay.
If we're going to do that, we're going to set the minimum. Me personally, 5 years experience, administrative, not 3, because we were trying to set a tiered system here instead of just straight across the board. But if you're just going to do straight across the board minimum, 5 years, administrative with some of the skills on here, and let it be.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could expand one more thing, as I stated earlier, where we identify that someone has to hit milestones, what we call that is underfill. And that's a normal part of our HR process. If you don't meet at least the minimum qualifications, but we think that you have potential to be an excellent candidate for the citizens of Newberry and for the organization, we can hire you in and say, we recognize that you don't meet those minimum qualifications, but to get you there, you got to do this by X, this by Y, this by Z.
Okay. So
What
that's-
happens to them if they don't meet those qualifications?
It's up to you guys. Y'all are their boss.
Down the road.
You're gone.
So you're gonna hire a city clerk without the qualifications, if they don't meet the qualifications, you're gonna get rid of them, and then we won't have a city
No,
clerk.
but we're not gonna hire somebody that don't meet, because we smarter than that, Monty.
We are?
Yeah, we're not gonna meet, we're
not
not
gonna
gonna
meet
meet somebody younger.
That's why we just
So-
said 5 years now.
No, but if they don't meet the qualifications after, I mean, if they don't get to the
Progress.
point where they
You're
get the
saying if they don't get their
certification, if they don't get
C
certification
and-
right, what do you do then?
I'm sure they can be persuaded. We got a manager that'll take care of that, and a board.
No.
No, the board.
City
The
clerk.
manager don't do nothing when we decide.
We got a mayor that we
The
will
mayor.
discuss it.
The mayor will discuss it with our charter member.
Right.
And to that end,
So-
to give you some ideas of how you do that, because quite frankly, that's something I deal with every day. If someone has those milestones and they don't hit them in a timely fashion, or it doesn't look like they do, we have conversations with them about the fact that those milestones are coming up. That's required that you get there. If you don't, then there may be some consequences associated with that. And we put on a little plan to ensure that we get them there.
Mr. Mayor, did you want me to answer Commissioner Farnsworth's question about the salary?
Go ahead.
Please.
So the salary range came from conversations with you guys in a previous forum that I was in. Florida League of Cities advertises between 71 and 107. But there's very little rhyme or reason. So there's a vast array of different qualifications. Different cities ask different things. The 71 to 107 did have a minimum. They were seeing someone who was the CMC. So that's why you start off with someone who partially meets that, just under that range. That range is also subject for this conversation. So I think you have to put, in my mind, you guys have to put the pay along with the qualifications and have those conversations somewhat at the same time. If you say that you want somebody that has a master's certification, but I only want to pay $60,000, I can tell you right now, that's probably not going to happen, right?
Seeing that we're hiring from within anyway, because we're not going on a national search, so.
And so the setting what you're willing to pay, and I would also remind that your budget already is set for a full-time master certified clerk and a full-time. So anything below that or at that is budget neutral. You only really have a consideration if you go above and beyond those two salaries.
All right, let's move to the application process.
Well,
then.
I got more questions regarding that. The League of Cities set a rate. Is that based on the size of the city, or is that just based on the general?
I could not find a rhyme or a reason. So some cities do it by population, some cities do it by certification, some cities do it by years of experience. But when I was putting up two people that one was at 107 and one was at 75, I didn't see a natural correlation there. So I think very much other cities behave very much the way you guys behave. You look at situational, you look at the candidate, you look at the qualifications that they bring, the years of experience, what your budget can handle, and then you advertise it. And you guys may decide that you're willing to go with the partial and that pay range, and maybe nobody applies.
And did we have any comparisons with sister cities?
Yes, we do.
And where are they located? Where's that information located?
It's in the backup material, and I'm trying to think of a latch because I know.
What's the city?
Alachua,
Just one city?
just one city, but I can tell you, their deputy clerk, because she works under the purview of the city manager, she has a full-time assistant. She does have the MMC. She's been in that position for less than 5 years. She was the assistant to the deputy clerk prior to that. And she has the FCR, the Florida Certified Records Manager certification, and she makes $76,000.
That's with the
Are you-
MCC.
That's the deputy clerk.
That's the deputy clerk.
That's
What
not-
what
with
about
a-
the clerk?
The clerk
They
is
don't
the
have
city manager,
Oh, they don't have a clerk. Okay.
and she is not, her assistant is the one who runs the elections.
So the deputy clerk basically does what our city clerk does, is that what you're saying?
No, she's not a charter officer.
I mean, she's not a charter officer, but the certifications and the job duties are basically the same?
The job duties are similar, they're not the same, but she has gone through the same school. And when someone graduates from the first year, second year, third year of the CMC school, you can, those that are familiar with the program, and we have many instructors from all around the state of Florida that come in. They know that if someone has gone through and successfully passed that first year, that they have had sound professional training. For elections, public records, I'm not one that can list everything that is discussed, but the curriculum is built to build a professional individual and a team, a leader and a team member.
That's good.
So
One other question real quick while I'm thinking about it is, if the city clerk makes a mistake of some sort and the city ends up, will the city end up getting sued, or the clerk will the clerk get sued, or how does that work? Who's responsible?
That's we got qualified.
Clerk would not be sued because the city would be sued if the clerk did something that was so far out of bounds
Right.
with her duties, then perhaps the clerk could be sued individually. But that would be something like culpable negligence,
I mean, it had to be a big bad thing.
a big bad thing outside of her duties. It would be really an unusual circumstance, but she would not be liable individually.
But if they make a mistake, like with the elections or something of that nature, then
ethics,
would they be reprimanded in any way by the state, or is there?
ethics commit, same organizations that you all fall under.
You never had no ethics violations against you?
No, not
Oh, I know all
22
about it.
years, but, you know.
Mr. Jones wants to,
I was just on, expand on Commissioner Farnsworth's thought that the charter calls out the situation here is not unusual for other organizations for the city manager to be the ex officio clerk and then have a trained deputy clerk that works under them.
okay. All right, so let's move on to the application process then. Or we'd set the minimum, pay scale's there.
So the
Any-
minimum is 70 to 80? Is that where we're at? The number one?
No, the minimum's the 60 to 70, I believe, right?
Just to be clear, the minimum that I've heard is a high school degree
Yep,
and 5 years of administrative experience.
Correct.
That's what I've heard.
correct.
Pay ain't what it is. You ain't gonna get nobody here for $60,000.
What?
I mean, are we picking one of these says pay?
Well, the minimum is 60 with experience, they can go up to whatever.
But that's partial.
Budget.
That's partially meets what we already said the minimum is.
Okay.
All we're doing tonight is setting a minimum.
The minimum is 60. Think of the minimum and everything.
Got you.
Okay, application process slide, Miss Judy. Go ahead and put them all up there too.
Is that 1, 2, 3?
There's one, there you go.
Direct, that's the last one. Okay, we're at the application process, and I appreciate the discussion, because that's what we're here tonight. That's why we are here. So the application process, direct the clerk's office to prepare the job description based on the feedback from today, and I think we all have
You're there, right?
that, right?
Okay,
Direct Human Resources to advertise, collect, and forward all applications to the clerk's office.
okay,
Direct the clerk's office to review, rank, based on approved tally sheet, which we will have, and perform interviews with the top, and it says top % of candidates, but I would say, I would like some input on that. Top three, okay.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, that left as a percentage, because I think there's some consideration for how many, let's say you get 100 applications, right? I would maybe ask Miss Judy in the clerk's department to narrow it down to a top 10, and then they maybe do some introductory interviews and then bring you guys the top 3 out of that 10. If you get 10, you only have 10 applications, well, that's a different situation than having to go through 100. I think that also plays into the timeline, because it's going to take Ms. Judy X amount of time to go through 100. If it's 10, that obviously is much less time. So it's just how many people do you guys want to dedicate that you're going to sit down, if you go with this process, for an hour? If you got top 3, then that's 3 hours of your life. You're saying, I'm going to sit down and talk to somebody for an hour, and I'm going to do that 3 times. Or it might be 4, it might be 5.
I think that the mayor and the city clerk should interview the people and then bring their recommendation to the board.
Top 10%, that's what you're saying?
Can we hold,
I'm saying
can we,
top
hold,
percent. Bring your top
hold on,
one.
hold on. Before we jump to the rank, can we just revisit the advertising part? Because to respect Commissioner Coleman's comment already, he doesn't want to nationally advertise. Is that at least agreeable to you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I
So
ran on.
advertise, I understand.
So,
Uh,
learn from
but-
within.
What do you perceive as your idea of advertising? Just putting it on the website, maybe putting it on the Facebook page, and just leaving it at that? Doing something in a newspaper?
Well, do you
None
have
of
to?
the, none of the above, or what?
Do you have to advertise it if you're, can't you put it on, do y'all have internal email here? Right? So why not advertise just to all employees? That's advertising.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
that's the general would be, we put it on Indeed, we put it on Florida League of Cities, we put it on our social media, and we put it on our website. Those would be our general 4.
I personally don't feel like we need to spend any money on advertising.
All 4 of those.
I
don't either,
think
man.
we can spend.
And also,
All 4 of those are free.
and also,
Indeed's free?
also, from the past, I know I get loud, man. I'm not yelling at you. Just chill, man.
I'm not taking this.
All right. Also, here's another thing. We're hiring from within.
Now, you keep saying we're hiring from within. How do you know that?
That's mine.
That's what you're wanting.
Right. That's
Okay.
me.
I think that should be a consideration. I don't know that it should be the ultimate decision.
Look, I will vote against any of that, Commissioner Farnsworth, because that's what I ran on. That we're offering for the carrots in front of the horse for employees. The worst thing in the world is to go to work at a bank and watch everybody bypass, kind of like here. Nothing against the fire chief that we have. I didn't know anything about him. Any of y'all get any info? I mean, yeah, because it's the city manager's job to hire it. But maybe there was something internal. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you make total sense.
So, but that's where I'm at. I'll walk off the dais if we say we're
Mr.
going
Mayor,
somewhere else.
there is a very easy way to do this. The government does it all the time. You hire internal, you put the application process out there for 3 to 5 days. We get our little internal stuff. If there's nobody qualified, then we have to go out. It's that simple. So internally first, and then if we don't have the qualifications that we need, then we put it in the 4 things that the city manager just discussed.
Commissioner Farnsworth?
I think hiring internally is fine, but also if there's somebody that's more qualified at a same price, at the same cost, then I don't see why there's no reason to go for that. You know, it's like you can buy gas here in Newberry for 30 cents more than you can buy it in Chiefland. But you know, if you're in Chiefland, why not get gas there?
Commissioner Long?
My only thing, as long as we're consistent with our process of hiring, because we heard a lot of issues with the city manager position, how people thought and assumed a lot of different issues, but if we're going to be consistent with how we hire from within, then we advertise. We got to be consistent with that process. We can't do it any other time and flip-flop to any other process. It's got to be something we set a standard of, and that's how we do every position. So people
Internal
understand.
preference.
So everybody understands what they're up against. Just like if you apply to VA, you know you won't even get an interview until they go through the internal process. you already know that going into it. So if that's how we're gonna operate, then I'm with it.
Yeah.
Ditto to what? What he said or what he said or what he said?
I'm so sorry. I'm just focused on what I'm sorry.
Internal preference
Yes.
is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And we, at one time, that was the practice here.
So the public understands that.
Right. And also, your city clerk is a charter officer, and actually, he or she will be appointed by the, please correct me, attorney, if
You're absolutely
I
right.
have misspoken.
No, you're right.
Not every, you have 3 that are appointed, and that's your charter officers. So it is a little different process than an employee.
Right.
Just different, not better or worse, just different. So, she will be sworn in. They will take an oath, just like your oath. So, this is a very serious, it always is, but it's a big decision, and I am appreciative of the feedback that I have gotten tonight.
Mr. Mayor?
Hold on, that's not right. So, I'm not sure I've landed at a consensus of how you want to advertise.
I don't think they want to
maybe
advertise. I think they want to.
I think if you're
Internal.
gonna advertise with email or interoffice email, then that gives everybody a chance to know.
Okay.
So
But,
what, what's our
internal,
timeline?
and Indeed does cost you to advertise. I know that personally.
We just have an account, that's why we.
We just need to have a timeline for internally then.
So,
Right.
internally, what's your
One
time?
week, Monday through Thursday. The city's open for business 1 week. They got a week to decide where they want to put their application in.
That a head nod, yes?
I'm
I
good
mean,
with
is
it.
there any law that says we need to advertise?
I need 3 of you to agree with that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
1 week, internally, and then go to the idea of the 4 things that we just talked about.
I did,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor.
Does that move us along in the conversation here?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted,
On the, sorry, I've got one track mind. On the second advertisement, do you want a timeline on that? Because we've got to move the process along, get somebody hired, and get somebody in here. What do you want to do
We're way
on that?
behind. I say,
It's-
like Commissioner Clark said, let's advertise it for a week. I mean, the day
We've
after this
agreed
meeting.
on that part. Let's, the
whatever.
second,
A week.
the
Do a
second
week.
one another week?
Do a week.
No, just a week.
Okay.
Do you know after
2
this
weeks
meeting,
total.
everybody in the whole city employees are gonna be talking?
And this just goes back to what he's saying,
I know, just
having something that's
Put it down.
actually published that we can refer to that we did our part.
Internally first.
That's all that.
I also provided the recruitment budget cost in your email.
Well, hold on, do we go through review and rank? Do you want a percentage?
Well,
Mr. Mayor, that was good. We can set it up to when we advertise, it just goes out internally. We
Right.
can set that on a clock. Is there any feedback? Let's say there's only one person that applies internally. Do we stop and we interview that person before it goes out and decide if that's the
If
person?
they meet the minimum qualifications, absolutely. In my opinion.
So you don't have.
I mean, if that's
I mean, to me, it's not about the minimum qualifications. That's about in one-on-one interviews, and you guys say yay or nay, right? But if in my hypo, there's just, let's say we advertise internally, there's only one person. Do we stop and do the one-on-one interviews before it goes out? So you do.
So Monty brought up something with city manager and the mayor doing the interviews and you guys bringing us the recommendation.
I mean, if there's only
But if
one
only
candidate.
Not the manager.
That's the one person.
Well, the
Clerk and the
Right.
mayor.
Yeah.
You're saying that there's only one.
If there's only one, that's it.
Then that's okay, that's different.
If
That's
they
1
meet
hour.
Qualification, we hire. If they don't, we go external.
Yeah, yeah. It's imperative,
Okay.
though, that our city clerk is there 100% in the hiring process
Okay.
of this.
Yeah, okay. So
And the
it
mayor.
sounds like we have consensus on that. Director could organize one or more of the interviews for the, okay, those,
I'd actually like to make 3 comments.
what do they have to do with? Because I don't want to lose
The
focus on
duties.
this.
One of the comments is about the duties. One is, I've been misreferred to as my title, and I want to point that out. And the third is, for the 1-week internal, I would ask that you,
Just come up there.
excuse me, Judy, I'm going to speak to the microphone. Janine Miranak. I am the Records and Administrative Coordinator in the city clerk's office. I am not the assistant clerk. Previous commissions removed deputy clerk from the charter. There is not such a position in the city of Newberry. Okay? Just wanted to clarify that because there's been referencing to me as the assistant clerk, and I am not that because it doesn't exist in our city. Okay? For the internal candidate deadline, I would ask that you give them an actual 7-day week and not a work week, so that they could work on the application maybe over a weekend. Does that make
makes
sense?
sense, yeah.
Rather than Monday through
fine.
Thursday. We'll send the email out, let's say on a Monday, and applications are due by 3 p.m. the next Monday, that kind of thing. Does that make some sense?
Perfect.
Okay, that was my second suggestion. And my third is about the duties of the clerk, and I have not discussed this with my boss or anyone else. So this is my thoughts. The CRA is a separate entity from the city. It is not part of the charter. It has its own income producing. It is a joint venture with the county, okay? I do agree with being collegial. And I'm not sure that some others are aware, but about 2 CRA meetings ago, the Economic Development and CRA coordinator agreed and asked for the other CRA paid employee to be the one who took the minutes. Because the Economic and Development coordinator is also the CRA coordinator. And then Chelsea works for the CRA and for utilities, correct? Or no, Nikki's the one that splits with utilities. So Chelsea works for the CRA. And that, what's her?
Part-time or full-time?
She's
The
full-time.
The employee she's referencing is split between the CRA and the planning department.
Okay.
Okay,
So she's been tasked with the meeting minutes?
correct. And she sat with me for the first meeting, and I showed her how I did it, and then she's done the past 2 CRA meetings.
So we can go back and repeal what we said earlier about
Wait a minute.
including in that, or what do you want? Thank you,
I don't
Janine.
know that we need to repeal it. I understand where Janine's coming from, but we sat here and discussed, if we're sitting here anyway, and the clerk is here, there's no need in changing seats, we just keep rolling. I mean, why would you have
That's
another
why.
employee here? I mean, that's just my thought.
And Mr. Ray, that was kind of staff's thought, was why would you switch, the money's gotta come out of a bucket if you've already got an employee sitting here, right? That knows how to do all that kind of stuff. We take direction, so whatever you guys want, but in that case, it's the same, I understand what Mr. Jeannie's saying, but it's the same people, it's the same board. And they generally, it's impossible to tell when the commission meeting is gonna end and the CRA meeting is gonna begin. So you're basically paying another person to sit in the audience, waiting until one meeting is over for another person to switch seats.
So leave it the way we said tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I apologize. Janine was hired as my staff assistant, and she did go through the Florida Certified Records Management program, and now she is Public Records and Administrative Coordinator. So I apologize, Janine.
Now, question, she's retiring too, so who's taking her job?
Let's not talk about that.
Next
Let's not talk about that.
That'd be a charter. Her position's not a charter position,
so
being the city manager. Or the,
Direct the
City
clerk's
manager,
office
the
to
clerk.
present the finalists to the commission vote. Okay.
Okay.
We'll address that when needed.
I think I'm gonna go for it, I'll be done.
When needed. Okay. You want to move on to the next slide, timeline?
Sure. Timeline. Okay,
We can potentially advertise this internally Monday, this upcoming Monday?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I think we need
And then
to,
the rest is going to kind of follow in line
the rest will fall in
after
line.
that? Okay. Next slide,
Mr. Mayor, one thing,
sir.
when we were having our commission meeting.
And I shouldn't say advertise it Monday without getting y'all's feedback. Were you okay with that?
I'm good with that. 'cause
Yes.
It follows my caveat here that Commissioner Coleman, and when we had the last meeting, it seemed like we had a fire under our shoes and we need to get going, but right here, we got from now to September, so, or is this candidate can start internally now, or no? Are we gonna wait till you leave, or is there gonna be a training in between, help in between?
I think we need a bridge.
Is there, I mean,
We need a bridge. I think it's the September the 2nd, for onboarding. My last day is September the 4th. So
We don't,
if we do have a,
we could theoretically do the interviews, but, if an internal candidate has it, there's deck chairs that need to get rearranged.
sure.
So
Well, my
we need
point
to
is
be
like we did
sensitive.
with the
We
city
need to be
manager.
sensitive to the existing
So that's,
position.
are we gonna bridge it to make all this happen? And then if we do, there's gonna be a position, we already know it,
I
that
think
could be possibly vacant. And
I
then,
see it that, let's get the interview part done,
yep,
and then depending upon who we want
okay.
to
All
hire,
right, just
then we move into.
put it in your
How
brain
we gonna
housing.
rearrange the deck chairs? Does it leave a vacancy or not?
Yep.
Those sorts of things.
Okay.
Yes?
Mr. Mayor.
Well, it will, because
Hold
they're
on.
gonna hire from within.
I would simply say to the commission that I would wait until you have the applicants, because the applicant, depending
Sure.
on their level of experience, may need a different amount of onboarding,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But I would also say that from the manager side of your charter office, whatever you guys decide to do, we are here to make sure that that is a smooth transition. So wherever this potential internal candidate is that right now is completely nameless, we will figure out what kind of a hole that leaves.
Sure.
And how can we bring that person on a little bit early to do onboarding and those kinds of things? And what sort of budgetary shifts would be
That's
to happen,
another,
right?
yeah, that's another way of
That's
saying
my
how
commitment to you
we
guys.
rearrange the deck chair. Okay. What have we left out that you still need some direction on? We got a timeline, we got the minimums,
Ms. Judy,
we got the
I know
process.
Commissioner just said Monday. Is it ready? Could we advertise internally by Wednesday?
Oh, so we're not ready yet.
I don't have the
I mean,
I don't have the advertisement, but.
But if
I
it's
will-
internal,
I can work on it and I can,
that was just a question. I mean, Monday's not I think the time crunch is not, but if we are in a time crunch, 95% of this is done, right? If we're just advertising
Correct.
internally.
To that end, Mr. Mayor, if it's an internal posting, normally it's just a job description. If you are satisfied with that job description and you're satisfied with the minimum qualifications, it could be posted tomorrow and Judy wouldn't have to modify it whatsoever.
Just give it the
Well, a few
timeline,
things we
like
added
Janine said,
just need to be added.
people give it a chance to
The
fill out an
CRA.
The
application.
CRA and then the
So-
minimum requirements. I think that's some of the stuff we gotta add to
Monday.
the process.
Yeah, because,
Let's
I
put
mean,
them on.
I agree with Ms. Janine on that. Some people might need a week to
Think.
get that.
Monday to
Yeah.
Monday.
Well,
Monday to Monday's perfect.
the water cooler will be discussed. There you go. Okay. Next item is nothing. It's comments.
that is,
The pay, wasn't it the pay
Minimum 60 we already got.
that's going in there? You said 60.
Yeah.
And what was the League of Cities minimum?
71 to 120 something,
107
107.
Okay.
With qualifications?
with qualifications.
Yeah. It's,
Well, 70 is with the
With some.
MM whatever?
They don't, minimum 60,
With-
whatever, commensurate with whoever we are.
Okay. I don't know why that's confusing me.
You can jump into whatever you,
Okay.
as long as this budget, you'll be budget neutral anyway.
Right.
She got 35 years here.
was there anything else, Miss Judy?
I believe I have the direction that I need to begin the process.
Okay.
I do need to ask for public comment from,
Well, I think we do need this in the form of a motion so that you guys are.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
okay, thank you.
You want me to read what I have?
No, I got it.
Okay.
The motion from my notes would basically indicate the addition of the CRA clerk to the general description with a no minimum experience or minimum qualification of high school experience and 5 years of administrative experience, or a high school degree with minimum of 5 years experience. And getting it posted internally for a week starting Monday, and we go from there after that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Commissioner Coleman. Any further discussion on the dais? Any from the public? Hearing. Yes, Mr.
Do we have a
Mr.
record
Long.
of the hiring process?
Mr. Mayor, I actually, there is no process
Okay,
when it comes to your charter officers.
okay.
You can say it's that precedent or not, but there's zero. So every time this comes around, it doesn't come around in Newberry very often. We've had a clerk for a long time. Our managers seem to be on 10-year. Our lawyers seem to be measured in centuries.
Centuries.
So there, every time it comes up, you guys will engage, and the mayor will lead you in a long 6-month conversation about a process. How do you want to do this? And then probably right about across the finish line, you'll chuck that process right out and do something else, right? And that's perfectly fine because you guys set the rules.
So hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. The motion passes as described. Moving on to comments, citizens first. Seeing none, we'll go down the dais, starting with Commissioner Coleman.
I appreciate everybody working on this. I thought this was not going to go smooth, but actually it did, so I really appreciate it, guys.
Commissioner Clark? Commissioner Farnsworth? Long? Mazon?
Nope.
We're out. And I have none, Mr. Attorney, and then Mr. Manager.
Miss Ellis?
I guess I went out of order, sorry.
Miss Ellis, Nancy Canan, Geneva Henson, and then I think, Mickey, and then you. So there seems to be some commonality there, and it has been highly successful over the years. That's my point.
Sorry,
No
for
comment,
the
Mr.
first
Mayor.
time, city manager comments?
No comment.
All right, meeting is adjourned.